Hello friends, it's been a while since I've done a YouTube video. A lot's been going on. I've been doing some lives over on Facebook, and I started a needle felting membership. So I've been kind of tied up and haven't had a chance to do a YouTube video, but I was getting ready to teach a class on this little owl dude, and I thought, yeah, why don't we do a video since I haven't done one in a while, because I need to do a practice one anyway before my class on Monday. So we're going to make this little owl. He's very simple, very basic, great for a beginner. A lot of people kind of think he's similar to the Harry Potter owl, which I'm not a Harry Potter follower, so may or may not. I just kind of came up with him. So we're going to make him, and he should go together pretty quickly, but let me get together what we're going to need and show you, and we'll get started on him. Okay, so some of the things that you are going to need tool-wise is, of course, you need your needles, and I have a 36, a 38, and a 40 spiral here. You can use whatever you're comfortable with. Little pair of scissors always come in handy. A pair of pliers usually come in handy. If you want to do glass eyes, you'll need obviously some glass eyes. These ones are clear, but we're going to give them some color with the Sharpie marker. You can do them in felt. I've done felt eyes as well, so you can do that. If you're going to use the glass eyes, you will need an awl of some kind to make a hole, or scissors to make a hole for the eyes to go into. And then some kind of tacky glue or something to hold the eyes in place. So this is just what's on my desk and what I tend to use, or you can use super glue or whatever. So and then you're going to need your wool. So I have here about 4 ounces of core wool. This is a Corriedale sliver from Cupid Falls Farms. You probably won't need all of this. That's just kind of what I put together for the class. So probably be less than this. You will also need whatever color you want to make your little owl. I just have a snow white here that I think is from Lion Gate Farms, but you could make your owl whatever color you want. And then I just have some black for detailing around the eye and the beak if I decide to do a black beak, and then a little bit of gray for any kind of details that you want, basically, but you can go with whatever colors you want. If you want to make your beak orange, you can get some orange. So that's what we have. To start with, I'm going to color my eyes here since they're clear, and I just use a Sharpie, and all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of color around the back side of the eye. And I find that some colors work better than others. The yellow seems to work pretty good. Now the eyes that I used for here actually came already colored from Living Felt, so you can get them already colored. But for my class, I had these. These are just inexpensive glass eyes from Amazon. You get a whole big pack of different sizes. So I was just using these for my class, and then my students, they can make whatever color. I'll just bring a bunch of different color Sharpies, so you can make whatever color you want. So I just kind of go around the inside of it, and then I just kind of turn it over and make sure that I have all the spots filled in here. We're going to outline it in black once we get it on, so that looks pretty good. So I'm going to set that aside to dry a little bit. I'll do this one. Again, just kind of, you know, if you want a green, I use a green marker. This works pretty good. I know the first class that I did owls, some of the markers weren't very dark. You can always do like a second layer once it dries. But this yellow seems to work pretty good. It's kind of a yellowy orange kind of color. So just kind of make sure that I got it all filled in. You could use paint as well, if you wanted to use some acrylic paint. I just find the markers just a little bit easier to take for classes. And it's not, it's still kind of see-through, so I kind of like the look of that. So, all right, so the eyes are done. So we're going to set that aside. Now I'm going to take my core wool here, and I'm just going to take a small section of it. What do I got here? It's about 13 inches, give or take. And we're going to kind of spread it out here a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of roll it up here into a barrel shape. I'm going to try and keep it compact because he's a little guy. I don't want him to get too big. So I'm going to roll that pretty tightly. And you can see he's a little bit bigger, but we're going to kind of squish the ends in a little bit. This guy is just 2 inches tall. He's not very big at all. So, so I'm going to take my 36 gauge needle, and first I'm just going to kind of tack it down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten one side so he'll stand up. And then the other side, we're going to kind of round his head off a little bit. So if you've watched my other videos, it's kind of similar to, oh, what have I done? The penguin video. There's a few of them I think I've got out there that we've done a rounded head on. So I'm just, if you can see, I'm just taking my needle and going in the direction that I want the wool to go. So I want this rounded, so I'm trying to imagine this rounded. Just a base to start with. We gotta kind of plump him up a little bit. Watch your fingers as you're stabbing. If you're new, I recommend wearing finger guards to start so you don't stab your little fingers. Okay, so we're going to kind of make an indent here from where his body and his head are. And it's about halfway. So I'm just going to take my needle and just start so I know where I want that to be. And I'm just going all the way around. Just firming it up a little bit. We're not going to go totally firm yet. All right, so I'm going to take some more of my core, and this is about 7 inches, and I'm going to split this in half, and I'm going to start to build up his body here a little bit. So I'm just going to wrap that around and stab it in. You could just wrap the whole thing again and then just watch where your definition is between your head and your body, but I kind of like how this works. This is actually almost like the snowman video that we did. Remember, you want to keep the bottom flat. And then we're going to take that other half and wrap it around his head. This guy may end up being a little bit bigger, but that's okay. I think when I made my other one, I actually started with a ball shape more than a barrel shape. I thought, well, let's try the barrel shape for this one. See what we come up with. Keep stabbing all the way around. Oh, the eyes, I believe, were 11 millimeters if you're trying to decide what size to get. I did another owl, and I think I used bigger eyes because I didn't really like how it came out as well as this one did. But felted eyes look really nice in there too. Okay, so he's a little bit taller, but That's all right. I want to make sure that he'll stand. Looks okay. Can kind of get him a little shorter by focusing up here on the top and on the bottom a little bit. So at this stage, you can add a little bit more around his head or around his body if you want him to be a little plumper. But I'm also going to add, so when I do the white, I'm going to add a little bit extra for his wings here and his belly. So you don't want to go too big with your core. But as you start to firm, if you find that it's getting too skinny, then go ahead and add some more. I apologize if my camera is shaking. It's in a different position than what, my holder's in a different position from what I usually have it. And I'm not sure if it's in a really good spot. So I may have to move it for my next video. So I'm just spending some time firming this up. Okay, he's a bit taller, and I think I'm gonna make him just a little plumper. So I'm just gonna pull off a little bit more core here. just a little bit more around the head. I'm going to try and make sure that I don't extend it up above because I don't want to get any taller. Alright, I'm going to switch down to my 38 needle now. It's starting to get a little harder with the 36. Okay, it's looking pretty good here. Could use a little bit more felting, but we'll get a little bit more done here when we add the top coat. Okay, so now I want to kind of flatten his head out a little bit because I want his eyes to be right in front, not off to the side. So the other one I made, this is the other one I made, I don't know if you can see compared to this one how his eyes are more off to the side instead of being straight in front, and I want them straight in front. So I'm just flattening one side of his head here a little bit, and if I need to, I'll add a little bit more, but I want to make sure that I kind of get them in the same spot. So I'm gonna take my needle and I'm gonna just kind of felt down where I want his eyes to go. And you could mark this with a marker. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but I want this to be flat. So I'm kind of pushing more towards the center than I am on the outside. I want to make sure that they're far enough away that they look okay. Okay, I'm just kind of gauging it here. I think this one could come out a little bit more. As if you can tell, I have a lot more on this side than I have on this side. And that just could be poofiness too. Alright, just an eye kind of gauging here. Alright, so I'm going to take my needle, or my awl, and I'm going to poke down into that. And pop his eyes in just to see how they're going to look here. And make sure that they're flat on his face. I think that's pretty good. They're not like off to the side. I think that might work. We seem to be level with each other. All right, I'm going to just kind of felt this down a little bit more. And if you need to remake your hole, go ahead and do that. These are pretty long. I think I might shorten them a little bit. I want to make sure that they're far enough apart. And I think these ones are a little further apart, and I think these eyes are a little bit bigger, again, than these eyes. But if I went down to a smaller size, let me grab my box. Okay, this is how they came. I'm not like overly thrilled with these. I might have to find a different place to order from. I'm gonna go down. See, let me just clean these off. They're a little cloudy. And they're like not the greatest. Eyes, like trying to find some that are about the same size. Right, I think these two will work. Just clean them a little bit better. And I'm going to pop them in just and see. I really think that they're like too small, but maybe not. Maybe they'll work. I may have to switch my kits out. All right. I think I actually kind of like those better. Because once we put the black around, maybe they'll work better. Let's do that. I'm going to have to switch the eyes in my kit. All right, where's my marker? Here it is. All right, because when I outline it with the black, it'll kind of make them look a little bit bigger, I think. I really think those other ones are too big for the size of this owl. So these would be 10 millimeters. Let's see. Okay. All right, let's try these ones instead. I don't really, it's hard to find where they put the blacks in the right spot. I think I need to color this one a little bit more. Okay, I think that's better. Those other ones were just too big, I think. And it's kind of hard to tell here, but I think they're closer in size to these. Okay, so we're gonna go with those, and I'll have to switch out my kits that I just put together for my class. All right, so I'm happy with that. So I am going to glue them into place, and I'm just gonna take my glue here and just kind of get some glue on the post and stick it in the hole. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is cover with our top coat, and it's pretty close to what I already have, but there is a slight difference in the color. So I'm going to take my 40 spiral needle now, and I'm just going to cover this all up. Try and keep your neck here. It'll be kind of covered up in the front, so it's not a big deal. So this will take me a little bit of time here, so I'm just going to go around and add this white. This is a bat. I think I said from Lion Gate. Snow White, I believe, is the color, but again, you could use any color you wanted to make your little owl. I've made them brown, I've made them blue, I've done different colors, so I'm just gonna go all the way around with the white. You could actually just use your top color to make the whole owl if you didn't want to use the core. He's small enough. I just kind of prefer to use the core wool in my projects just because it saves a little bit of money. Gotta make sure I don't get my core and my top coat mixed up here, because I have done that before. Now be careful as you're stabbing here on the side and in the back, because you got that post from your eye in there. So if you stab too hard, you could break your needle. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're working around. And at the moment, I'm just attaching it. I'm not looking to firm it in all the way. Make sure he still stands. All right, I'm gonna take my multi-tool, my clover tool here. I have two 40 spiral needles in here, and I'm just gonna use this for time purposes. Obviously, if you don't have one, you can just use a single needle or tape two needles together. Careful up in here where you got the post for the eyes. Okay, I think I have him mostly covered. Not totally firm down yet, but we're gonna do a little bit more first before we get there. All right, I'm gonna take some more of my white here, and I'm just kind of splitting it down a little bit. Let's see. So we're gonna go around his eyes. So I don't want a whole lot. We're going to start over on the outside. I'm not going to do this part yet. This part will be attached after. So I'm just kind of manipulating the wool here. I'm going to use my 38 needle for this. And I'm just kind of very carefully building it up around his eye. See, I'm kind of pinching it together here because I don't want it to get too wide, but this will take a couple layers. And depending on how thick you want it to be, so you can see this one went down below where his neckline was. This one is like just above. But you can make this as wide as you want. So I'm just kind of slowly going around the eye. Careful as you're poking near the eye. And I want to make sure that I keep a space here for the other eye to come around. Now when you reach back up to where you started, if you want it to be thicker, you can just keep going right around, depending on how much you started with. And I like to kind of define that by pushing the base of it down a little bit. See how I'm going right along the edge of it there, just to kind of define it a little bit more. Okay, so that's the start of the one. We're going to do the same on the other eye. I'm just kind of pulling this out just a little bit to make sure it's kind of even all the way across. So I'm going to start again on the outside. I started this way, right? Yes. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just kind of pinch it together. And I'm coming into the center here. I want to make sure that I keep it I don't want it to overlap this other side. I want to make sure that it stays its own separate circle here. I find it's a little bit harder to work on this side because it's going in the opposite direction. So I'm working from the eye out. If you can start with two pieces that are about the same size, it'll help you as you're doing each eye. So I kind of like to pull it in half so they're roughly the same. Okay. I feel like this one is a little bit bigger than that one. if you're kind of happy with that, and then I just want to kind of, you can kind of see where the join is here. So to cover that up, I'm just going to take some little bits here and just kind of go around that. Get that black hair out of there. Just to kind of smooth it out a little bit using my 40 spiral needle. And I'm just going to go right around with just little bits to make that a little less noticeable. I still want it to be, so I still want the definition there. So you can see I'm still kind of going around the base of it there, but this will get rid of the noticeable join. I'm not too concerned here because the nose is, or the beak is going to go there. So I'm just going to leave this here in the middle for the moment. And if I need to touch it up, I can after I get the beak on. This side's a little bit smoother. Okay. Alright, you can build that up as much as you want. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to take some black now, and I'm just going to go do a ring around his eye. So I'm just taking a thin bit of black and just very carefully. Now you don't want to go too deep because you don't want to lose it. If you go too deep, you won't be able to see it. So I'm just going right around the outside of his eye here. Just kind of defines his eye a little bit more. And once you get back to where you started, just take your scissors and just snip it off there, and then poke the rest of it in. Don't go too deep. If you have any stray pieces there, you can trim them off. I think I might make the ring around a little bit deeper. Let's put the other side in. I'm going a little bit further around because some of it got lost down there at the bottom. Some eye is a little cloudy. His eye looks off to one side. It's a problem with these eyes that I found is they're not, the pupil isn't centered really great on some of them. So they look like they're, well, I mean, I guess owls can look in a couple different directions, right? All right. Now, before we put his beak in, I'm going to outline where I want his wing to go. So I'm going to use my 38 needle, and I'm going to start not quite about halfway from the center of his eye, and all I'm doing is I'm just making a simple wing shape here. You could draw this in if you wanted to. And I'm not going all the way around. I'm just going like part way back. So So I kind of like not to have this body like really, really hard when I do this. So you can kind of see where his wing's gonna be. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on this side and try and make it the same. Sometimes that's easier said than done. Sometimes it's a good idea to draw it out. I'm just comparing the two of them here. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill out his belly a little bit. So I'm gonna take some of our white and just gonna kind of add over that section there in the center. Kind of go down into where we just drew those lines. It's okay to come up in here because the beak will cover this up. So I'm just gonna fill that in. Now on the other one, I didn't quite go here. I just kind of dropped it down. You can see how I just kind of dropped it down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a little bit along the bottom of that there because it looks a little weird. This makes it a little less prominent, I guess you would say. So I'm going to add some down along here. Now, if you wanted the wings to stick out a little bit more, you could add a little bit of fluff to the wing area. Just kind of keep your your outline there, and then just fill the wing in with some more wool. You could add wings if you wanted to actually make a wing and put it on here. We're going simple with this one. Actually kind of like it a little fluffy like that. I might leave it like that. I like that. Just get it secured. Each little guy takes on his own little personality. Do the same on this side. Kind of like that little poofy there. I'm gonna just kind of flatten his tummy here just a little bit. All right, I like that. Okay. All right, let's give him a beak. And I'm just going to go with black, I think. So I'm just going to take a little bit of black and I'm folding it a couple times here. So it's about the size of what I want it to be. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take and just felt it down here on my mat a little bit with my 38 needle. Just be careful here you don't stab yourself. So I'm just focusing down on the bottom part. Let me switch to I have something that's underneath my mat here. I need to make a new mat, I think. Something that's catching it down there. Might have to turn it over. Okay, so I kind of have it basically formed there. I'm just going to roll it in my hands here to felt it a little bit more. So when you're kind of happy with the shape, you don't have to have it totally felted because you're going to kind of do it a little bit more, but you want to have it pretty good here. Okay, so his beak's gonna go like that. So now this extra here, I can just take it and kind of tuck it down underneath, or you can cut it off, whatever you want to do. And it's pretty much up to you as far as where you want it to start, where you want it to end. And I'm just poking it in around the bottom. So I don't want to flatten it, so I want to just attach it along the base. And this black is kind of furry. So it's going right along the sides. Can do it on the top a little bit to kind of clean up the fuzziness a little bit. but whatever looks good to you. Okay. All right, now we're going to add the little eyebrows or ears. I don't know what you want to call them. So I'm going to take a couple pieces here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold them in half, kind of like what we did for the beak. I'm hitting that spot again. So we're going to do the same thing that we did for the beak. Just kind of keep turning it over and over here. Now when you're doing this, if this is your first time doing this, you may notice that it gets stuck into your mat. That's okay, just keep turning it. Try not to stay up as hard, or as deep rather, so you kind of avoid going into your mat. But you're still going to get little fuzzies there, but that's easily solved by rubbing it in your hands. I'm going to move him out of the way for a minute. Okay, do the same with the other side. So we get them, don't need black in there. So we get them about the same size. I'm leaving the bottom part fluffy so I can attach it. And that'll kind of build up his eye a little bit more too into the center. Okay, when you're happy with that, they have about the same size. You're going to take and figure out how far you want it to stick out. Actually, I think I'm going to roll these just a little bit smaller. That one is smaller than this one. Okay. So figure out how far you want it to come off from the eye. And then start to attach it. And I'm just going to go like along the sides to start, just to kind of hold it in place. See if it's where I want it to be. And then I'm going to start to wrap this around, just like when we did the eye to begin with. Careful you don't cover up your nose. Okay, so you kind of see what we're doing here. Now you want to make sure that you don't cover up your eye. You might want to save going around the black of your eye until after you do this. Okay, I'm just going to leave that one for the moment. I'm going to do this one. Make sure that I get them about the same. These ones are out a little bit more than what the other ones that I did, but that's okay. So I'm just going to tack it in here to start. Make sure that I think I can bring it in just a little. And then start this one around too. Now this one's a little bit longer than this one, so I don't want it to get, what I can do is if I find that this one's a little bit longer, I can just add some extra here once I get it around there. So I'm just going around the eye to start here and to tack it in. Just bring it right around. Again, watch your beak. And then once you have it secured, just start to felt that part in. Those ones stick out a little bit more. sides a little bit, out a little bit more than that one. Let's see if we can shorten this down a little bit by poking in a little bit. Okay, not too bad. I think I might touch up the black around his eyes a little bit. Probably wait and do that until after you attach this part. Yeah, let's take a little bit black here. Just kind of like the inside of his eye here. Still a little lost up here. See if I can get a little bit of this little piece here, just around the top here. Okay, now you can take your gray and you can, so this one I did the wings. See, he's a little bit, this guy's a little bit chunkier than this guy. I think for this one, instead of doing the wings, I'm just gonna add some gray to his belly. So I'm just gonna make little V's. So I'm starting with the piece, it's a little bit longer than what I need, and I'm tacking it down in the middle. And I'm just gonna bring it up a little bit. You can drag it all in, or if you have too much, you can trim it off. I'm going to do 2. I kind of lost that side there, so I'm just going to add a little bit more here. I'm going to do 3 across the bottom. Now if you wanted to, you could make little feet sticking out from the bottom. If you didn't want to eyeball this, you could draw them on first to get them all even. Just kind of trim off the little bits here. A couple options that you could do. You could take some gray and outline his wing if you wanted to make it a little bit more pronounced. You could add wings if you didn't want to just shape them onto the bird. Yeah, use your imagination. There's lots of different things you could do. His little eyebrows here are a little bit bigger than this guy. He's a little bit bigger all the way around, but so this one I made started out with a ball. So if you wanted a little bit more rounder, you can start with a ball and then just define your center there. This one we did with the barrel, so he's a little bit longer. But yeah, I think he turned out okay. So I think we're good for my class on Monday, and I'll see when I can pop this up on YouTube for you to watch. Let's get this back over so it's kind of in the center. But so yeah, so hopefully I can get back to doing a few videos a month on YouTube. I've kind of changed my my business plans a little bit, so I'm gonna focus more on classes and less on making product, but my products will still be available for sale, and I'll still do custom orders if anybody requests them. But yeah, so hopefully at least a couple times a month I can get a YouTube video up for those of you who prefer the YouTube format. If you like Facebook, you can hop on over to my Facebook page. There's a link down below in the description. I try and do a video there every week for about an hour, so sometimes it kind of carries over for a couple weeks. We're doing a flamingo. I started it last week and hopefully we'll be able to finish it this week. So hop on over there. But yeah, so I hope you make an owl. If you do, post it in my Facebook group, needle felting and tutorials and instructions, or let's learn needle felting, either one. I'd like to see what you make. And if you can, hit that subscribe button down below so I know that you enjoy this kind of video. Hit the like button so I know what kind of videos to make in the future. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next video.